Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. So you're here to take the GED test, which is the General Education Development Test. We think of it as a general education diploma, but the development word is actually the official one. It is one of several high school equivalency exams. And the purpose of the GED test is to certify that you have high school level knowledge and skills, and it allows you as an adult learner to prove what you know. The interesting thing about the GED is it was originally developed for GIs who were returning from World War II. So many of the volunteers for World War II were young teenage men who had left high school in order to go and serve in the war. And so the government wanted to provide a way for them to make the way in the world when they got back. And so the GED test was originally a very simple test, just really sort of rubber stamping their experience so they could move on to college and jobs and take advantage of the GI Bill. But it wasn't really very well respected because it was such a simple test. All that changed in the last decade or so. The test was completely revamped. It was made very difficult, as you probably know if you've tried taking a practice test. And so now it has a lot more credibility than it used to have. People have learned to respect the GED and expect that students who have one really do have the equivalence of a high school education. There are 4 skill areas that are tested in the GED test. There's math, reasoning through language arts, science, and social studies. So today we're going to look at the various tests that you're going to encounter during your time in adult education. So let's put them in order, starting with the TABE test, which you've already taken as part of your registration for adult education classes, and which you'll continue to take as you progress through adult education. That leads to the GED test, of course, and then there are a host of college entrance exams that would come after that potentially. The TABE test is the test that you took when you first registered to take adult education courses. The TABE stands for Test of Adult Basic Education, and it is designed to measure your mastery of specific skills in math, reading, and language. You'll see that it doesn't measure your skills in social studies and science because those skills are sort of built into the language and reading skills that you're going to need to learn for the GED test. The main purpose is to identify very specific skill gaps that you might have, and it also helps us to place you in an appropriate class so that you'll be exposed to those things that you still need to learn. There are 4 different levels to the test: easy, medium, difficult, and advanced. So you may hear your instructor talk about you're scoring a particular score in a D level or an M level test, and so that's what they're talking about. We may imagine knowledge looking something like this chart, where it's sort of neatly organized and it's completely filled in, and it's a progression of gradually more difficult skills. And so we like to think of it as being nice and tidy like that. But what our knowledge base really looks like is something more like this. There are always gaps in our knowledge that make it difficult for us to learn new skills. And so the TABE test is designed to show what those gaps are so that we can fill them. Now, once those gaps are identified, we can teach you those specific skills. And your knowledge will never be perfect. It will never look like that first chart, but that's okay. Nobody has perfect knowledge. We all have these little spaces in there where things just don't quite add up, but that's all right. It just needs to be good enough. So you will repeat the cycle of testing. You'll take a TABE test, which will identify the gaps, the things that you still need to learn. And then you'll attend class and learn those skills, and then you'll take the TABE test again, usually after about 40 hours of in-class learning. And if you do better the next time you take it, then we call that a measurable skill gain. It's a progress that you've made in any particular skill that can be measured in an assessment test. And so that's what we're looking for, is those are those measurable skill gains from test to test to test. And we'll keep doing that until you reach a certain level. Once you've reached approximately a ninth grade level proficiency in a D or A level of any given subject in the TABE, then you're probably ready to start taking a GED Ready practice test so that we can see how well you might do on the actual GED test itself. You will take the practice test or something similar like it until you are getting something called a likely to pass score, and that typically is a 150 or better on the GED practice test. Once you're doing well in a couple of the GED Ready practice tests, you may qualify for a GED scholarship. The GED test costs $40 per subject, and so you may need some help paying for that. There are a few basic requirements to proceed with the scholarship. You have to have been in the program for at least 40 hours of instructional time. You have to show a measurable skill gain in at least one subject, and you have to score 150 or better in the at least two subject areas of the GED Ready practice test. In addition to that, we have to have some category of need that qualifies you for the scholarship. Some of those things might be that you have been in the foster system. It may be that you receive SNAP benefits. It may be that you qualify as low income. You may have a criminal record. There are a variety of categories of need that may qualify you for a scholarship. Also, if you are an underage student, under 18, you have to score ninth grade proficiency in all of the subject areas at the D or A level on a TABE test. Because the GED exam is broken into 4 subject areas, you can take them individually, one at a time, as you're able to afford it, as you are ready to take them. And that makes it really great. You don't have to plan to sit and spend all day testing. In fact, it's impossible really to take all 4 sections of the GED in a single day. The most anyone ever takes is 2 tests at a time. But it's often best to prepare and really focus your energy on a single subject or a subject or two at a time. Once you score 145 in a subject, you have passed that test. The GED.com website will keep track of your progress in taking the test until you've passed all 4 sections of the test. Once you have reached that level, hooray, you have graduated, you have earned your high school equivalency, but there are more tests in your future likely. You'll see from this chart that if you have passed the GED test, you may go straight to technical college or a 2-year college. You are prepared and ready to do that. You do not have to take something called the accuplacer test. Students who graduate from high school and go into a 2-year or technical college have to take this test just to confirm that they have the skills that they need to succeed. But your GED test proves that to admissions already, and so you don't have to take that accuplacer test. This is a fairly recent development. This has only been within the last year that this has happened. If, however, you want to move on to a 4-year college or university, you will need to take college placement tests like the SAT or the ACT so that you can demonstrate how well you have mastered college-ready scores. If you do choose to further your education, you'll find that all of these standardized tests won't matter so much anymore once you actually get there. All of those tests are designed to determine whether or not you're ready to do college level work or what level of college level work you may be prepared for. But once you get there and start earning grades, those grades will be more important than any test scores. So remember, tests are just tools. They don't measure who you are as a person. They're merely an introduction of who you are and the skills that you have to someone who may not know you. An admissions counselor, a college professor, an employer, someone who may be trying to figure out if you will be a good fit for the thing that you're trying to do. It shouldn't be a discouragement if you are not a great test taker. Not all of us are great test takers, but keep in mind that it's something that you can master. It's something that you can learn how to do. So good luck.